All right, so by way of introduction my name is Al Watson. I am the district ranger here on the Kern River District. And so you'll notice a couple of things. One is we have some items that we're going to be doing some writing on. Two is, didn't know this, but some historical photos, which I think is just actually really, really awesome. And so for people that were here previously, but that was in January, I believe, maybe. Was it December? Okay, so December we met over here, and that discussion had to do with what are the positives about Miracle Hot Springs and what are the challenges about Miracle Hot Springs. This meeting is about how we are wanting to move forward as a community. What I'm hoping we will do is stay on track and not go back to what we talked about in January about some of the things that may have happened previous to that. What I would like for all of us here is to say, what is the way forward for Miracle that makes sense? So, okay, any questions about that so far?
No.
Okay, so for those that know me and know meetings we've held in the past, this isn't me talking and everybody else listening. This is all of us talking about something. So if you have something to say, you will have an opportunity to share your thoughts. So I need a couple of volunteers. The first one has to have ridiculously good penmanship. Yes. Okay. So because what I want to do is the first part, I want to recap what are some of the things we all have agreed upon of why Miracle is important to us. I want to write it down. I also want to write down what are some of the challenges that impacted Miracle specifically within the last year. Okay? So that we have a visual and then we can move forward. So I want those on these two. And so if we need to have more room, we can just flip it over. So, okay, so here is the critical piece of information. These two pins are for these only. They're dry erase. This one's going to be for future planning ideas. Now I want to narrow it down to what makes sense for us as far as Miracle looks like, short term and long term. So this one is going to be the positives. And if people have something that they want to put down, like here's an example. Miracle Hot Springs has been used for 1,000 years. Miracle Hot Springs has been something that is positively impacted my health. That would be a positive. Miracle Hot Springs has made my mental health a much more positive, those type of things. So we're going to write it down, and if you want to come up here and write something down, that's fine too. So it's going to be that type of a thing. This one is going to be This one is going to be the challenges that myself as a land manager, law enforcement, and then also community members have seen that said, I don't want to go to Miracle anymore because of this reason, and this reason, or this reason. And it can expand into what are some of the ecological challenges when people choose to bring concrete into an environment that does not like concrete, especially river systems, and some of those. So I want it to be a broad type of a discussion because all of us are here because of this land that we love. And so I think that needs to be part of the discussion. You all will have the opportunity to also, challenges. Yeah, we'll just have a challenge. Okay, that's fine. Positive impacts and then challenges to managing a complex hot spring. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Any questions before we start talking about these two items that we're going to write down? We're not going to take more than 15 minutes, and then we're going to spend the rest of our time talking about that. Pal.
Can you talk a little bit about the action plan draft that the Forest Service already has?
Okay.
Because that's really important with what we're talking about.
Okay, so remind me, so after we're done with this, before we talk about this, I want to talk about what Hal's talking about. We've developed a draft action plan for Hot Springs on this district. Okay?
Right.
So put a pin in that. And if I forget, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go around. Questions, Eva, anybody else? Okay, so the question was, and you'll have to speak up loud, the question was, or not a question, but a comment. Nobody was held accountable for what happened, and that
Somebody at the line told me that happened.
yeah, okay, so I'll say this. Nobody knows if anybody was held accountable or not. That's not how the Forest Service operates. We don't put in the whatever of like, yeah. But what I can say the Forest Service is we're a learning organization. And what I can say with the Forest Service is we're here to work with the community to be able to figure out how to move forward, because me, as the district ranger here, and my risk associated with managing a landscape, but then also working with the people that are using it. I know that may not be the answer you're looking for, but okay, you're saying it's circular. I'm saying this was a discussion internally quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Can I add to
Okay,
that?
let me move around here, Hal. Any questions about where we're going, thoughts? Hal.
I just want to say that I got a call from forestry law enforcement from Washington, D.C., and they did investigate what happened. I don't know what the results of their investigation were.
Okay, so what Hal just said, remember, you're going to have to use like the yelling voice right now.
Okay.
And that is that Hal says that he was given a call by Washington, D.C., and that there was an investigation regarding law enforcement. Okay. Yes, sir.
You're saying about as far as building yourself, you're building without the man, how long you can do that? You build dams and letting them fish and stuff like that.
Okay.
How about the hatchery?
Okay, so once again, this will be my last reminder. You have to because there's people in the back. Can you hear what he just said? Okay.
How do you build cement tubs with no cement?
Okay. All right, so that's the question. Hey, everybody else uses concrete to build stuff. I will answer that. So if you have something to say, my suggestion, you don't have to do this, is to get up and then address everybody so that, because it is loud. So, this is, if you're frustrated, it's okay to yell in this environment. Okay. Anybody else?
What
Thoughts?
would be wrong with
Yes,
using?
Janet.
Mine's more about the pools. They need to be built individual, inflow, outflow, plumbing, small pools that are shallow. You don't need deep pools. You can have more capacity. If you're not dumping the dirty water from one pool to the next.
Okay, so pin that one. Okay, good. That's great. This works perfect. So he's capturing it, but that will be part of. So we'll talk about that more next. Yeah, like the next steps. Anything?
Over here,
Oh, back here. Yes.
they build bridges and they use concrete. What's wrong with using the same grade concrete as what they use
Okay.
in bridges?
So this has come up twice. So we're going to put this on cement issues. And I'm going to address, so before we get into this, is let's start, let's capture any positives. I'm surprised there's no positives. We're going to talk about this right now.
Anybody see a challenge?
Okay, what other challenges? Gary.
Crowded.
Okay, so now if you want to come up here and write something down and help us out.
We need to implement a visitor cap
Okay?
of how many people.
Overcrowding.
Yes, overcrowding, because also it helps with the ecosystem.
Overcrowded, got it? Other challenges, Gary.
I think one thing we need to take into fact with rebuilding and the challenge is that even though this is a Forest Service land, water-related stuff does have to go to the county and state as well. So we're building a pool technically in the eyes of the county and the state. So we have to adhere to those environmental laws
water quality.
Water quality, all of that.
Water quality. This one. Cindy. So like managing it, finance, and not like building it, but finances for building and maintaining. Building and maintaining finance. Yes, ma'am.
Overnight use. How do we stop vehicles from parking?
Okay, so overnight. Yeah, because that's not always a bad thing. I mean, we have campgrounds that people use at night. How could we? What's another way of saying that?
How do we have those gates closed at night?
Okay.
So people can still walk in if they really want to walk in. But these people are lazy enough to stay through right now.
Okay. So that's making the assumption, though, that nighttime use is
Forbidden.
or not a positive.
Not a, yeah, it's not a positive.
Sunrise, sunset
Okay,
hours.
one second. Let my note get here. Okay, we'll just keep it at night use. Okay. So that's going to be over here. Yeah. So extending camper use.
And some trash cans.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I would actually advocate that night use, when it's done responsibly, is a positive.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Put it on the thing. Responsible night use.
Thank you.
So let's okay, good.
Educating others, like having brochures maybe in the front right here, or even at like other like visiting centers and stuff like that in different towns.
What does that fall under?
Like it would be under future
Future
planning.
use. Okay. So that's future. So let's stay away from the future planning. Let's capture the positive things about Miracle. And then,
Positive.
challenges.
Physical and mental well-being.
Okay.
And
Spiritual, mental well-being.
And
Okay, I'm going to go around this way. Anything? Yes.
I bring Connors up here every time I come up to his hot springs. I dump at least $100 in the valley. Restaurants, stores.
Tourism. Tourism dollars. Okay. Positive or challenges?
security physical barriers, perhaps. I don't think that's
So is that future?
that's something that to be debated, but something for security purposes. Unwanted people out, but after subject or whatever.
So we got it right here. So you're all seeing this. Okay, I'm coming back around. Okay, good. All right, so part of the challenge is I'm going to put is public nudity, public sex, sexual assaults.
Drugs.
These are real things that have happened here.
Very fast, not that fast.
Public sex, assault. Okay. All right. Vandalism. Class. That's good. That's trash. Okay, yeah. But I think we captured it. So I'm gonna last 2 minutes. So you first. Okay, you wanna hold it then? Yep.
On a positive, I don't even see it there, but the positive day and that the body, physical well-being. That is my angle from it. I get a lot of physical well-being out of it.
Got spiritual, mental, physical well-being.
great place to meet new friends and
Ow.
meet people from around the
I
world.
was just gonna say that social interaction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've made so many great friends just
Okay.
in such a short span of time.
Put a pin in that one, future planning. That last one.
also mentioned that for this one, it would have been etiquette, hot spring etiquette, so that when people come, they would be like, oh, I didn't know.
Right, that's under planning, right? Yeah, that's under future planning.
Okay.
No,
I'm talking about.
I agree.
I think it's smart.
Okay, so let's put this in the future.
Which one?
Yes, they do. Okay, this is going to be my last week. Hal, do not go right now. Okay. And then we're going to move into the what we came here for discussion. Janet? Okay. Hal?
Future planning, how we're actually going to plan to rebuild the tubs.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
So we're talking about challenges or positives. I know there's more positives in this. Okay? This is the last opportunity for this before like-minded people.
Committed people that have done it.
So how about, I think that's social interaction.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's
Okay, so I think maybe we put historical and prehistorical use. Right?
Prehistorical.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
I grew up in Miracle Hotsprings, 3 miles away from it, and my parents got engaged there in the 70s, so that's always been kind of like a point of personal pride for me.
Yeah.
And I started exploring this area in 2016, and I really fell in love with the hot springs along the current and just how close we are to the National River Rail system up here. So I've actually catered like my life. I've been working for the last 10 years to get out here and be as close to this canyon as possible. And I actually met his father at these hot springs. So it's
How
kind
would
of-
you put that in like 2 or 3 words?
This is, I'm hoping that the hot springs out here and the current river lifestyle can be his legacy.
Could be what?
Can be his legacy that I
Oh,
get to him.
so how about we say this? Legacy recreation.
Tradition, legacy.
Legacy recreation.
Legacy
That's where
recreation.
it stops for me.
Prehistorical.
Okay, we're going to get into the meat of it here. Everybody better be ready.
So awesome.
Okay. So that was everybody's
Oh, I
opportunity.
got one flyer.
Okay.
Flyer.
Okay.
Well, I
Okay.
see some stuff burning down here. Okay, so, and graffiti. Oh, that's it.
Okay. All right. So that's good. What I want people to take a second is to look at some of this, reflect on it, because we're all in this. We have skin in the game. I know we could put 2 more pages to this.
Yeah.
Because when we are here in January, there isn't a whiteboard big enough that we talked about stuff. I mean, we had veterans here, we had Native American folks here, all were saying there's benefits I had never heard of about Miracle Hotsprings. So realize that. But realize that this is one of the drivers. This is where we want to be, but we have to be able to talk about this before we can do this. All right. All right, so let's take 1 minute because then we're going to pick up the pace and talk about this. Yes, so basically the comment was Miracle's aptly named because, and one thing we didn't put on this is because of accessibility. Unlike Remington, Miracle is just 100 yards on not a steep slope to get down to. And I think that's one of the attractions why people feel like it. And if you're somebody that has really bad knees, you're not going to be able to get down to Remington where you could get to Miracle.
One of the positives is the ease for us to do the cleaning with a very, great equipment, power sprayers. That makes that a real big positive for anybody to be able to enjoy them, is to be able to drain them and clean them. So it's easy to get the equipment down there.
Okay.
The draining capability.
All right, we're going to take a quick, just short break, like 2 minutes. If people want to look at some of these, and like I said, it's just because now I want to do a physical transition into people's brains thinking about how we start talking about what. And I have come armed with what I would consider as a short-term plan. I need help with the long-term plan. Okay? All right, short break, talk it up with your friend. So, good, that was a good intermission. I don't know if people remember back 30 years ago, you used to go to the matinee or whatever, and they used to have like an intermission. You could get popcorn and go to the bathroom. Anymore, you got to sit through the whole thing and hold it. But since we're talking about Miracle, we thought we'd a throwback. So, okay, so the next part of it, and this is where I really want some good interaction. And remember, I'm basically, I don't have a script I'm following of how to do this. I am going off, you all are basically running the meeting. I'm only facilitating and adding points from the Forest Service perspective. So this is your opportunity. So we've written down some of the challenges. As we go through items about what the future, remember these, because this will play a part. These two are now connected right here, because this is why we want this to happen. But don't forget about some of this. Okay? All right, so
Can we take that page?
Action plan
Yes.
draft.
okay, good, thank you. Why don't you, so let me tell everybody what Hal's talking about, and then Hal, I want you to tell me what you got out of that document. Okay?
Okay.
Wait a second, not yet. Yes. So, what Hal is talking about is, so we developed a district hot springs management plan. Now, the reason we did that, it's because, remember, this landscape we're sitting on here belongs to all of us. My job is just to manage it. It does not belong to me. I just get paid to manage it regarding our rules, regulation, and policy that exists out there, but while interacting with user groups. So it doesn't matter if it's an OHV trail, an equestrian trail, Lake Isabella, rafting the Kern River, or hot springs on federal land. There are rules associated with all of that stuff, what you can do. Here's a big one. You simply cannot build a tree house to live in on federal land, even though you are a U.S. citizen. Federal land isn't your personal property to use however you see fit. It belongs to everybody. There may be 5 people that say, we love tree houses, but there are 5 people that say, we do not want tree houses. My job is to listen to all of those voices, follow rules and regulations, and then be able to act on that and make a decision. Okay? I want to make that clear because it will tie into and dovetail when it comes to building tubs, building facilities. It's not as simple as I can just do whatever I want and bring a 10-yard dump concrete load and do whatever I want because I think we need to do it, because I think all these things are more important than all of these things. That's a really important thing to know. It belongs to everybody, not one person.
I have a question, but at the end of the day, there is going to be a tub with water in it.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Today?
No.
So,
In the future,
yes.
within this timeline of 1 year, we have a tub with water in it, and that's what we're working towards.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
What that looks like is yet to be determined.
Okay.
But I even have an answer for that today. If people wanted to have a tub today, there's an opportunity, and I will be crystal clear of what that looks like.
Okay.
But it will not look like is everybody running to the store and buying a bunch of concrete and coming here at the end of the day and building something. Because here is my Al Watson being real, is I had interactions with several of you all, and people built tubs, and I said, please do not build more tubs. And they said, I'm going to do what I want. And they built more tubs, and they built more tubs, and they built more tubs. And it became unmanageable. This is like what my daughter says my dad real face. This is what pushed me into a corner. Let's not get into a corner. Okay. All right. So, the management plan is, go for it.
Okay, well, the management plan I thought was put together really good. You took into account a lot of input that we gave you over the years, and I want to just read the introduction to strategies and goals. It's not very long, so you got an idea of what this is about. The purpose of this action plan is to provide a course of action to continue to protect, manage, and maintain the hot springs natural resources. This plan will provide a basic structure for managing increased use of the area and maintain the outstanding, remarkable values of the historical site. Over the years, resource damage from recreational activity has escalated as the Forest Service does not currently limit the number of visitors that are allowed to be at the hot springs. This has caused overcrowding and congested parking lots with thousands of visitors increasing yearly. This has resulted in high levels of resource damage. Impacts include the loss of reptilian habitat, human waste, vegetation damage, littering, large amounts of graffiti, poor sanitation practices, and reoccurring illegal camping. Educating the public about leave no trace is essential, but there is also an issue with visitors choosing to vandalize and leave trash behind carelessly. The popularity of these locations has increased with the support of several publicity articles and the use of social media. Other social platforms have also been a large reason for the increased amount of traffic at both hot springs locations. The hot springs are convenient to access since they are located right off the road, which invites more traffic. Forest Service and partners have been working together to restore and maintain Miracle and Remington hot springs. With increased visitor use comes many management challenges that have been documented as a high level of concern. In response, the Kern River Ranger District has developed this action plan to address the Forest Service and public concerns over the resource degradation and recreational impacts. Goals. Number one goal, identify and develop a hot springs action plan to address ongoing issues involving resource damage and public safety. Goal 2, maximize efforts on education, outreach, and volunteer organization to address primary concerns that result from the popularity of the hot springs. Goal 3, encourage users to follow code and federal regulations to address concerns that have been expressed regarding use of these recreational sites. Goal 4, provide amenities to help alleviate issues with litter and human waste. Strategies. Develop a set of guidelines on the management of the hot springs, addressing issues with resource damage and aiming to manage as a family-friendly environment. Strategy 2. Complete a more effective and organized volunteer agreement with additional roles and responsibilities to advise the Forest Service. Strategy 3. Apply rules and regulations affecting recreational use and pursue an effective law enforcement program. Strategy 4. Monitor levels of use to measure performance and plan implementation. So that's the gist of it. We're going to put this action plan on Facebook over the weekend so you can all read it. All right, thank you. Okay.
Okay. So basically, I mean, it's, you know, we wouldn't have created an action plan if we weren't serious about having something here. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
okay, so let's now talk, well, you know what I want to do first is talk about short term, because what we're here is to determine a long-term type of thing. What the allowable use, so right now it's not under a closure order. people can go in there right now. What that looks like though is you can build a tub now, but only with the natural environment features that are there. What that looks like is not with concrete. So, I mean, you can't do it today because it's underwater. It's going to be underwater for the next month. But if there are rocks and stuff, it is fine for you to build with material that is there, not concrete, natural material. Build it, and if you want to put sand and stuff so that it creates the pool naturally, that is fine. You can do that today. Well, it's underwater. You know what I mean. If it wasn't underwater, you could do that today.
Sandbag.
I'm not there yet. So I'm going to be crystal clear. It's just natural stuff. Okay? That may not be what everybody wants at the end of the day, but we're talking, this is the short term until we get to a long term. But this is so people can use it. There's a variety of reasons of why I'm saying this. But again, once the water, the Kern River goes down, if people want to build a tub with natural features that are there, rocks that they can collect, sand, natural sand that's there, that is perfectly acceptable. Okay? No. So I'll say it one more time. Okay? The short term, no burlap bags, no sandbags, no concrete, no visqueen, only natural items for the short term starting today. As we get further along, a month from now, we're going to define what that looks like. And that's what I need help with because of this. Under natural, there's not going to be 100 people that are there. It'll be a far more manageable crowd, and there's a number of other things, because that's what was really hammering us, is because more and more and more and more people, and then it became unmanageable. Right, because and then rightly so, well, not rightly so, and then people started building more tubs because their tub was taken. Okay, so before I stop, any other questions about short term?
Yes.
Go.
Timeline on short term.
Until we get to that next, what past that looks like. Okay, we're gonna, that's,
So is that a 5-year term?
no.
6-month term? At the end of the year, this term?
Okay, that's fair. Let's say tentatively that's this year. This year. January 24, let's transition into that next conversation of what Miracle looks like. And the only reason I'm saying that is it gives me leeway. I wanted to have this meeting in February. I wasn't able to because, and I see your I wasn't able to because a lot of, and so people have probably been tracking all the damage, the material around the lake. My time has been diverted with more response to flood damage. And not because I didn't want to meet with you all. I want that to be clear.
January of next year, is that what you're saying?
January of next year, I hope to move into what we agree on makes sense for Miracle.
Another question. Based on your map, when does the river go down and
Okay, I'm doing some.
You have that.
So this river, so it's about 6,000 CFS now.
It has to be in January. It
And
has to be under what?
in May, in mid-May, it's going to be 10,000 CFS.
Oh my God.
And then
It will release 10,000 CFS until the dam is not under threat, because that spillway that's brand new.
it's 430 to the total.
Yes, they are trying to let it out now.
So you're thinking August.
I'm not thinking that far.
There's more water coming out today than there has been in a while.
I would say, as a guess, okay, so remember, I am not the water master. I would say July it should start dropping. Okay, so let's say August, so nobody is upset.
You say that You say people can come in here and they can go in there now.
Yes.
Where are they going to park? This lot is the only legal parking that you can do.
Yeah.
You can't park over in Hobo unless you're camping there.
Okay, that's a good point.
So if we're allowed to go in there now, where are we going to park legally?
You're not.
Exactly.
Okay. Big question. Yes. So,
We don't want trash cans at the springs.
Yeah.
People will then leave their trash there. I realize
yeah, I
that.
have a question. I have an answer. So the question was, can we put some of the porta potties and trash cans closer to the springs instead of up here? So a lot of it. So remember, the Forest Service, Thomas Refuse, and they have a lot to say, because if you put it down there and then it's blocked in by traffic, guess what happens? It doesn't get empty.
Could we make like a no parking sign?
I love the positivity. Someone that's been on for 10 years, when you are influxed by 10,000 people, doesn't matter. There's not enough law enforcement to enforce it.
I know, but just like in
You're going to have to trust me on this. If you put those closer, they will be blocked. They will be blocked. People will just park there.
Will the gate be open or closed?
So I don't know that now because I have a staff and I have to get an agreement with them because they're the ones that have to do that.
I can completely understand why they might want to keep the gate closed now, because you don't want
It's a
to
good
accidentally
question. I
slip
love
and
it.
fall into that river.
All right. How?
It's over if you do.
Hot Springs Angels is going through some changes. Dave's going to be our new leader, and we put together a website, miraclehotsprings.org. I recommend everybody get on there. In the short term, while the river is underwater, we would like a little direction from you if in fact Hot Springs Angels is going to be the volunteer group taking care of Miracle Hot Springs, and we would actually like to start making an action plan ourselves for putting volunteers together to rebuild the tub, working with Forest Service.
Okay. This is what I can tell you. So Hal is saying that Dave is going to be the one that's going to be leading up Hot Springs Angels.
Right.
And I don't know, did everybody hear him, or am I just repeating because? Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. So yes,
What?
yes, we will enter into another agreement, but it will only be with the condition, for now, of maintaining the natural. Well, we will. We'll re-up it. But it, okay? Is that,
Okay. Yeah,
is that-
maybe we can come in and talk more about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But we'll enter into another agreement that basically will stipulate everything I just said.
Because we would like to actually become a non-profit
Yep.
and be able to take in funds and maybe be the concessionaire that takes care of Miracle Hot Springs in the future.
Okay. All right. I like it. So we're going to transition to that one. So maybe you've got all the ideas.
I thought about it for years.
Probably last night.
Huh?
Probably last night.
Last night.
Okay. And so the other part that's important is that there is a website. So everybody knows about the website.
MiracleHotSprings.org.
Okay. So let's. I want to have a couple of ideas as far as, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I want to hear a couple of ideas that take into account the positives, but as also as well as the
could you move,
challenges.
please? You keep bumping my camera.
And here's an example. Miracle Hot Springs being a concessionaire, being run by a concessionaire. So, yes. Or some C's and some C's. Some S's in there. Concessionaire. I don't know, Cindy, how do you spell that? Okay, we got it. Okay. All right, so because we've talked about this one before, that means a fee though. A fee. A fee. You'll be concessionaire, it's a business. And for them to be able to manage it, they need to charge people. All right, I love this.
Turn it into a day use. 15
Local
bucks
should
every
have a
day.
discount.
$15 a day.
Because
If
that
somebody's
is
there
an idea that's been
monitoring it,
floated
they go in,
is
tell everybody
if you're
that they don't get
local,
out. Simple,
you
spell
buy
it, just get on
a
your
year
radio,
pass
post
for
it.
like
And
50
then close
bucks.
the gate when you go. 15
But
bucks
if
a
you're
day.
using it
I'd
for
pay
one
it.
day, you pay $5.
But yeah, they used to do that.
But I would go as
And
high as
Janet
50
says
to
that's
my
double
back
the fee
30.
for children.
Yeah, yay!
Oh my goodness. Triple the fee. We're not going to put that one down.
Dogs are always free.
It's called
Good dogs are always welcome, right?
Okay, everybody, before we move on from, I know everybody wants to, I'm trying to keep this side conversation so we can hear. Concessionaire is one idea. That's not something that's going to happen in 2-3 months. I'm going to give you the real thing, what this looks like. I got you. Is that has to be a perspective. So you say, hey, who wants to manage a hot springs? And then people write it, and then our regional office looks at it because we don't want to be like, oh, well, you got it, and you're Al's friend is the way you got it. So all that stuff is taken out. But that's a long-term strategy. Just letting people know. Any ideas, thoughts? Yes. We've got our person in yellow.
Yeah, I knew it. I brought it up to my wife.
Okay, so concessionaire. Now let's look at, and I got yours too. I'm gonna
Cougar Hot Springs, Oregon is about the same distance from parking as ours are here to Hot Springs. And they have a concessionaire that works on horses, land horses. They sit in the little cut all day. They take a charge, like a satellite thing, on your credit card. And they come down about every hour and just do a visual sweep to make sure there's no glass, no smoking. And they kick people out.
Okay.
And they also have the radio.
No, she's saying, so what she just mentioned is Cougar Hot Springs up in Oregon. They have a concessionaire on Forest Service that utilizes this, and they make sure that people are following the rules, like no glass or whatever, and they also charge the fee, and then they go down there every hour, do a look, did you pay? Nope, you're out. You got glass, you're out.
I see several faces around here that have told
So that
people no
works.
glass.
It just takes a while. So I have to get to one thing, time limits. So, okay, so I'm thinking though, so one of the concerns is numbers of people and how long they're in there. A concessionaire would be able to manage that because that's what they pay. I mean, they're like, you get 2 hours. You can't go down there and sleep or, and oh, there's 30 people, sorry, you have to wait. 1 hour.
Can you make reservations online?
Okay, I love the idea that we're just embracing this concessionaire, but that's only one idea. But yes, it would be up to them. It's a business. They could say you could be in there 2 hours, or you have to pay an extra $50
The
an
number
hour.
of people
I
that
don't
come
know.
here, you'd have
Let
to
the
make
locals
it.
build it and have the federal government leave the forest.
What do you?
If you live here, you can stay.
Wait!
But we take the badge off.
Wow, there was like clapping for that. I felt a little like,
Is that an idea?
that is an idea. Okay, so that's enough for concessionaire. I'm going to move on to the next one. Any ideas that people have? I'm going to get to you, Hal, but you haven't said anything. So, did you have? Or are you cheering like get rid of the federal government? Okay. I'm not. Yes.
Like to suggest if they're going to have like a day use area so that it discourages people from bringing their food down there and bringing their food in the tubs.
That's in the action plan.
Okay.
That would also discourage ice chests going down there.
Okay. So let me throw out something here. And that is concessionaire is one idea. They would manage that whole thing, whether it's glass or bringing your tacos or any of that. So what if it's not a concessionaire? What are our options for Miracle being open beyond a natural type of feature? So let's talk about. Then I want to talk about challenges like that to managing something. Go.
possible of having an on-site host.
Thank you.
Okay. And so like we do at Hobo Campground.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so it would be a volunteer, free to get in there. Okay. So this is our another idea. We a Forest Service run, but with a volunteer host.
This would be an awesome spot for that. It really would.
No. Okay. So the
Yeah.
question was. So this is important. Is hosts within the Forest Service are not paid. They're volunteers. Now they get their water for free, their power for free. They get some stipends for, if it depends, like gas to go to town or something like that. There's different scenarios. But basically they're not paid. What that means is if you have confrontational people, can you really expect them to engage when they're volunteers? Okay? All right, but I want to go on this theme of having a host, a volunteer host here at Miracle. Yes.
So since we're talking about safety and law enforcement, I have two things. I just thought maybe we could strive to try and get cell phone service here. It'd be a lot safer if we had a camp host or anybody here, so we could get a hold of law enforcement in an emergency.
Okay, so your phone service. Yeah, and so I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that will not be high on the priority list right now.
Okay, my other suggestion would be, and I talked to her brother Mike Dobbs about this last night considerably, and it has to do with population control and to militia control the amount of people coming in here, and maybe charge them even $1 to put colored dabs on their arms.
Under this concessionaire though, I can't independently start charging people.
Yeah, but if we had a camp host, they could do something like that. Or how about another idea that I've given to you before, and that's to have like a permit system like we do on the upper
At Gold Ledge, at Old Gold Ledge.
Right.
Okay, so let me explain that.
Gold Ledge
So the way that works is some of our high use areas, to minimize the number of people, that basically you have to put your name in a hat and say, I want to go to Miracle, and on these weekends or whatever. And then you have to match that person with their license plate. If you do not, if you're a person within, you get a ticket. That is a lot of work for my staff. That is a ridiculous amount of work for my staff.
All right, let's out him out.
He says yes. I say no. So I like the idea, but it works good for Old Gold Ledge when there's 5 camp spots. It does not work good here when I can quadruple that number.
I think maybe we should put our heads together in the next few months moving forward,
Okay.
and see if we can figure out between our volunteer group, Miracle Hotsprings Conservancy, and the Forest Service, if we can figure out a way to minimize the amount of people that come.
Here's an idea that came out. Gate is closed on the weekends, but open in weekdays.
That would slow it down.
That would slow down, yeah, a lot.
It would be closed. The hot springs would be closed on the weekends, open on the weekdays.
Well, I know in the action plan you do have some suggestions in there to minimize the impact.
Weekends are really busy.
Gates will be open on the weekdays. So and this isn't my idea, it's just an idea that you guys came up with, because our use here is on the weekends. That's when we get use during the weekdays, but the heavy use is on the weekends. So that's an idea.
That's an experiment.
Yes, the hot springs is part of the day use area. Yeah, this is Miracle day use area, and that's why it's a day use area. It's not overnight, and why it was becoming problematic. I don't have a staff that can come down here every day to make sure people aren't using it at night. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We've got radios.
Yeah.
Radios, yeah.
Do you have utilizing the new building, the building over here for?
Ooh, I can't use that one.
Right now.
Oh, that's your building. That's your office. Your future office?
You're on top of it.
So that actually was a ranger station years ago.
Post
That,
office.
and it was moved here leave from Lake Isabella. Like when Bob Powers was here. Yeah. Okay, I'm doing a terrible job of facilitating right now, so I'm going to start again. Yes, you've got something.
Well, just that we've been talking about the criteria for visitors and how they have a pay into the fee, and it's only good for so long, and they're being safe, and they need to leave after this. We'll take it.
That's if we have a concessionaire.
If we have, well, that's even where the fee is supposed to be self-managing.
That's right.
So that's where the volunteers, public-private partnership, we're talking about maybe if we can train people to go around and, like Boy Scout groups, whatever it takes, all the different
Okay.
groups.
Yeah.
Here's what we need to do, here's the steps, you two can know whatever it takes.
Okay, so I'll get to you. So this is.
Education, outreach, and training.
I'm fine. I'm very good.
People
I
do
know.
that.
So this is an important part because people are very rightly so saying we need to charge people. It needs to be a band. It needs to be this. It needs to be that. That can only happen with this. It can only happen. So I love the idea of charging people and all that because it does make sense. I just want to flesh out anything else, how we can do anything that's not charging people.
Okay.
And I'm going to go this way. So get ready over here.
Okay, so that would be a concession run right there, correct?
That could be. Right now it's Forest Service.
Right now it's Forest Service. Now, that being said, can that be all year long? Or it has to be a
It
concession?
is all year long.
Okay, run by the Forest Service.
That campground is.
Okay, so couldn't we do that with the way in which they're doing it over there now? You have to sign up, because I know everybody that might come in, if they haven't put in online for a reservation, they can't stay. So how about that being here?
Oh, so you're saying if you stay at Hobo, you get a free ticket to go to Miracle?
Not necessarily, but if you had a separate, which is us, the Hot Spring, has a reservation for the Hot Springs so that we don't have 15, 20 people in one group come in all at one time. Caravan of 4 or 5
So it's only open to the people that can.
Okay, that's an idea. It's worth
an idea.
capturing. But, okay.
Because I know every time somebody comes in, they say, I'm sorry, do you have a reservation? No, we don't. Okay, well, you'll have to go to www and apply to get your reservation. So same thing here.
Okay, so let's capture that.
And we already know if we take
Same idea, because it's forest run.
I don't get why this isn't a campground like that. I
we
don't
know
get
how
it.
many
This is
people
a perfect
could
spot for
be here
that.
comfortably
Yeah.
by the number of trucks. that we
Okay,
have.
so that's definitely a good idea. Like I mentioned, it's the enforcement part. Who all here is going to run down there? You're going to go and you're going to kick people out? I love it. I love the enthusiasm, but that's not realistic. But it is an idea. Okay, I'm coming around. Remember, we're not talking about fees.
Reservation.
How do I do that? Who's going to tell people your time's up? So someone's going to close the gate. Okay. And I'm not trying to, so sorry, I was being a little bit, it's an idea. We're talking about ideas, but what I'm saying to you, that requires the staff to be here 24 hours a day to do that. Yeah. Yes. Who's going to pay for that? It could be like a nonprofit. Talk to Gary and Annie about that. One of the ideas is work with a nonprofit and hire a private security here. But there could be some logistics. Remember, hiring private on federal land isn't necessarily something that can just be done.
We did it once before down here, they used to charge $5 for the stores out here. Maybe you could look by some of the ideas or how they can do that.
Okay.
I've never seen any too many following that
Okay,
yet.
Gabe. So get ready over here because I'm coming to you.
What you got?
Private security, working with a nonprofit for private security. Now, like I'm not saying this, remember, we're just spitballing ideas. She's with her. Yes.
If I was saying online, like how you guys get a campfire permit, you gotta do that little fee that you kind of pay, you know? So that's an idea online.
a visitor center.
All right.
It is
Visitor center, even better.
beautiful.
So
Not
what if
fancy.
you had like something like that, like how you go to the DMV and gotta take your little thing. Okay, you gotta jump on this little thing, take a little etiquette, and then you get a little pass, like saying, you know, what you're supposed to do when you come, not just rolling in here, and not going in.
So that idea would be similar. What Hal was saying is, you do it. You have a date. You do your little 3-minute thing. You have a date. You can be here on May 4th. But someone has to be like
checking in before you come here, not paying anything or anything, but just being so you
Okay.
know the rules.
So some sort of a
And your
check-in
accountants.
process. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, coming back though. Yes. Anything?
Mine was, it goes back, but it was on the communications thing. I did a thing with the Forest Service one time where I volunteered as a campground host, and they were wondering if an area could be turned in to a paid site, like the other sites. It wasn't as big as this, mind you, but they provided me with a radio in case there were any problems, because up in Kings Canyon, here you got to drive, that way for a few minutes. In Kings Canyon, you got to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I was provided with a radio. Now, you talk about communications down here, and there has been and could be a real need for help right now. A radio. Now, I know you got a lot of positions that aren't staffed, which means you probably got a lot of radios hanging around. So if you had somebody that was actually, doing this out here, now you don't want to give a radio to just anybody because they'll be telling you what color the bird is they just saw. Some etiquette is going to have to be enforced upon that for sure.
So
But a radio is a real idea.
Okay, so basically, if we do have a host, they need to have communication.
Communications, because anything happens here, man, it's going to
Coming
take
back.
you a while.
Yes.
I was an hour late. I'm sorry. I missed a lot.
We got an hour late person
I'm
in
so
the back.
sorry. No, I believe in the host or session. I think wristbands for time, like how whatever the allotted time, we're paying a fee to come in, keeps the trash out. Times are different colors on your wristband. That way the host can walk around. Oh, your time is up. You have a blue wristband. You know what I mean? And then you could even pay again to come back in if it's not overcrowded.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I keep touching on that, but I feel that that's the best.
So,
the
hey,
best
we
way.
keep coming. I am coming back. Yes.
So are you talking about just short term right now?
No, we're talking about.
So then I wanted to mention when we decide to start building again, I think we should build rails and put things on the ground that help like with slip resistance and stuff like that, so we can prevent falls again
Okay.
from happening.
This is in the future planning. If we
I think
build.
regardless, we should have them. Even if we're just doing the short term right
Okay.
now with the rocks and everything, rails should be a necessity.
Elevators.
Rails.
Okay, so here's my world. When I start building facilities for safety, I'm now accepting liability. So if that step isn't to whatever standard it is, and it's this much off, and you trip on it, now I'm liable for you tripping on it. Now if it's just the natural landscape and you trip, I'm not liable. It's a natural landscape. So I'm not saying no. I'm just introducing you to my world. Yes. And then- Okay. Okay. Would that be for users or for the host? Okay. So once again, the communication, this is actually like the fourth time this come up, is we need communication here, but for the host in case there's an emergency.
Yes.
Loud and clear. Heard it loud and clear. Thank you for coming back.
There he
Hey
is.
everybody.
Hi, Willie.
People out of the water, and just in the general area, it's beautiful. But I wanted to just emphasize again, there's still a great need for the springs to be there. Just wanted to say that. Whoever's above me, let me know it's really neat.
Okay. You haven't said anything. It's been about 30 minutes. Yes, please. So remember, we're talking about the camp hose because that's one solution. So concessionaire, number one, having a camp hose with under Forest Service free. Where would they stay? Where would this camp hose stay? Because remember, if you're going to encourage someone to be here, there's going to be some sort of hurt for them.
Tiny home.
Ranger station.
That's an idea. Is fixing up that ranger station. That's a possibility. Because we don't have any hookups, so typically a volunteer would come here, plug into their septic system, water, and all that power. But that's a good point. Is if you're going to have a hose, they have to have a place to stay. Okay. All right, I'm coming back around. Cindy.
I want to say something. There's been so many times that everybody has said, "2 hours on the check." No, that is said quite a bit, but I did get a meeting on it. This is going to be today, whereas you just listen to, I believe, Colleen's and her, and Hal talked to her brother, and I think we should start there. They've already been there, done that, so we get to your meeting, and if you get into that, not saying that you can get there. Start there. You guys are just it did actually. Pauline actually did work engaged on
Nature's saying its piece.
She's saying it's been an hour.
Time's almost up.
All right, so I think that's important, but my rationale is I want to flesh out all these ideas because someone could have this amazing idea. So what I've just heard, it is possible to have a host, a free area with a host, you have a band, all that, to be able to manage numbers and time. It just takes the right host too.
Yep, we gotta find the right person.
Jenna said she would host. Okay, so we're talking about Forest Service free with a host. And then I want to, if anybody else has any other, you can't move me. Okay, that would be great if someone had a question here and then they ran over here and then had another question. All right, go ahead.
All right, so we have a host.
Excuse me.
We don't want to overload them and having to scroll down and like power and run this band. We just said, let's say 200 users is like the max and then different day. Right? Whatever the load is, I'm just picking a number. Okay. So 8 o'clock in the morning, the guys got, the host has 200 wristbands. 8 o'clock in the morning, people can start show up, get a wristband. When the wristbands are gone, they're gone from the day. Okay? And then you've got a wristband, you can go, you can use the tub, you can go have lunch, come back. As long as you got the wristband for the day, that would like, that,
Yeah, that's a problem. So it's labor intensive. So one, someone to hand out all the wristbands.
right?
2 is who's going to enforce if I'm going down there, I don't have a wristband. You're going to kick me out?
Well,
There will.
Better be careful. Better be careful though. We're talking about conflict now. And very few people here have the training to deal with that.
We'll get the Legion riders involved here. They're all veterans law enforcement.
so you gotta go down and say, I'm sorry, sir, you need to wristband down here. You guys are busy or whatever. Like, my radio, the host will say this. Like, I'm not going to engage with you. It's like, I have a radio and but most people will like eat. And when you get the service got a wristband and radio, you know,
So
they're not right.
here's an owl. The 90-10 rule.
Yes.
90% of the people will follow the rules. 10% will not. That's fine if you've got 10 people. But if you have 1,000 people, that's 100 people that you're going to have to deal with in a way that's difficult.
I know. We're starting with the easy things first.
Okay, you're right. I love the idea. So I'm not saying I love the idea. I'll retract that. But it is an idea. But it is an idea.
That sounds cool. Rather than kind of like leaving it out by like reservation.
And we may try this because we're capturing on this, and we may try one of these things. And then we're going to get together and we're like, it was a hot mess. And then we're gonna have to go back and try something else.
And you can limit it to like 5. Or someone doesn't come in and say,
Okay.
I want 100.
So, Dave, can you capture that? So like this keeps coming up, a wristband or something to limit use.
Yeah.
Okay. First and then second.
So last meeting, you had Reese here, and she was talking about, science with water flow and talking about we could only have a small tub and that because of the amount of gallons or whatever. What is the future looking like of this? You said there will be a tub. Do you think once they're actually constructed properly, is there going to be more than one tub, or is it a giant tub?
Okay, so basically you're talking about the hydraulics of it. Every hot springs has a certain amount of water that comes out, and to be a way that's sort of sanitary is you need water to come in and then also exit the system as opposed to come in. What's it called? Flow through. Okay, the flow through. I know that I've got 2 experts here regarding this. So does that capture that? Okay. Hang on now. So with that being said, if we were to go down a path where we create more permanent tubs and not the ones that I have said you can build, which is just natural, there will have to be some science put into it of the volume that those based upon the input. I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
I talked to Mike Dobbs about this last night, and he told me back when they had the hotel and everything, they had some pumps at the top of the hill, and they're able to pump enough water out to supply all their needs, and they have plumbing to individual tubs where they could have the flow through. And he also said that the Forest Service first destroyed the hot springs, that they cemented in the top of where all those pumps were, and he said that cement could be taken out and the flow could be quadrupled very easily. So I think that's something that we should think about, in the future.
Okay. Let's chat.
About the contractors, and not about it, it's not going to be there 24/7. So you can't expect that somebody to be there 24/7. So you have to have some other volunteers to come in and, give a break.
All right, so that's one of the challenges of having a host, is they're not there 24/7. You can't expect them to be managing an area 24/7. So final comments about a host, Forest Service, free, but a host that's managing this. And then we'll go off, and then maybe there's some other ideas.
I was just going to say the nonprofit model working with the Forest Service where they are able to solicit funds for specific projects and grants opportunities. Whereas I know like Homeboy Industries in Los Angeles, they are saving youth from the streets, and then kids need jobs, but they might be interested in wildlife management. They could come here, do some kind of service operation where they are
Do like a
enforcing the
workshop
rules.
or some kind
Well,
of
they go through
educational
training,
program.
and this is all through the nonprofit in collaboration with your rules and regulations, saying, okay, we're going to be the ones on the ground, and we're going to be like the Boy Scouts first, we'll be nice, and then we'll call Smokey the Bear if necessary.
Okay.
But we want to train these people to be assertive but kind and get the right flow going. That's a possibility. There's something about the nonprofit model where you can be flexible and work collaboratively. I've seen it in my work in growing community gardens in LA County. It's possible, but it takes a lot of communication and negotiation and understanding.
Okay. Okay, final call. So thanks for that. So that I would tier that underneath the host, but maybe partnering with the nonprofit.
Right.
I like that, but also maybe like a fieldwork opportunity for you guys. You guys can put somebody out here that's doing a little bit more prep on and use that as a fieldwork opportunity for you guys.
Field work for Forest Service.
For Forest Service, yeah.
Okay.
So youth at risk have them come out and work with you under like your name, but then again, more managing or local.
Okay, so be thinking about other ideas.
Bottom line is, once it does open up in a way in which the word gets out, bottom line is it's going to get overcrowded immediately, if not sooner. The only way we're going to be able to control devastation and some of these problems that exist on this list is to probably have somebody there that it's going to probably close the gate. And like I mentioned, if there's these guys right here, they work well with you guys, and if there's a reservation, then of course your time is today. Let's enjoy it. And during this time, we'd have to figure out as a group, as we have, not as successfully as we should have by far, and that's determine how many people can fit in an area, depending on if there's one pool, two pools, or how many finally we get to a point in which it's the limit. But at one pool, there's 7 people. So in reality, you're not going to let more than 7 people in until they leave.
Once again, who's going to manage people that want to just come in because they want to?
You are.
The Hell's Angels.
Me?
There you go.
Well, I'm saying I don't have capacity for that.
It'll be that trail that comes from the top over there down, unless you put rocks across there to limit. It'll be the gate closed.
Okay.
It'll be the gate closed.
And I get it. I do. I wish I could say I had unlimited staff that could do this. But I
Just know
don't.
that there's going to be people down there, not us, without whatever you do.
Yeah. There are people that will push their way.
Yeah, they're going to be, so let's say 10% of them. You have to keep that in your mind that we're going to have a problem. And there's such a thing as self-regulate. So once this goes into place, every year you'll see it better and better long term. Start out with people who don't give a crap about an armband. Then you're going to have the people that say, I'm not going to go up there, it's too crowded, I'll start to self-regulate. You'll have all that, but you can't address it all now. This is going to take a few years.
Yeah. Okay, we got 15 minutes left.
As far as the host, it'd be multiple hosts. So you have like maybe 4 days, someone else, whatever that time is.
Okay. So
So it's not all on one person, they can go on what they use.
So multiple. Okay, so a minimum of 2 hosts. You're a host. How easy do you think that there's a line of people trying to come into the Forest Service to be hosts? No. There isn't. It's a great idea, but the reality is we have a hard time keeping staff and posts. I could ask for 2, I could get 0, and then what's the solution? Close it? I don't know, that's just okay, any comments about the host? Okay, let's go for the idea.
One time. Yeah, we could advertise for hosts through our different social media platforms for people that are interested in the hot dogs.
We could amp up the host. All right, that's the host. Now let's move in. I only wanted to walk away with this with 3 ideas that we could, serious ideas. Number 3, who has the answer to managing Miracle long term? We've got concessionaires 1. We've got Forest Service run, no fee, but hosts that are managing numbers and time as well as best as they can, the rules, no glass, public sex, stuff like that. Etiquette. Hot Springs etiquette. Perfect. Who's got the winning idea? Yes.
Well, I think our group, Miracle Hotsprings Conservancy and the Hot Springs Angels, will be like a regular volunteer group once we start working with you again. But our goal would be to become a nonprofit as soon as possible and work with Gary with the Conservancy and solicit donations and become that group that can become the concessionaire, a local group of local control.
So is that a fee or is it still free?
It depends on how we work it out. If we can work it out that it can be free and we can control the amount of people that come here, then it can be free. But we may have to have a fee.
Okay. So instead of Forest Service running the whole host program, the idea is that we have one of our nonprofits, it's starting to go hoarse, and I've got to do this tomorrow too, so that'll be interesting. So one of our nonprofits will be the ones that are actually managing it, not necessarily a host.
Preferably the Hot Springs Angels, Miracle Hotsprings, the service. Working with Gary if you'd like to work with him.
Okay, so that's idea number 3. This is a nonprofit that would still be free, but they would be the ones that would be managing it in a way, use, numbers, times, rules and regulations.
Working with the forestry. So everything's happening.
Okay. Like, it would be a partnership.
Right.
I have a question. You did mention there was 2 of them, and now let's find the winner. The third. Something on your mind that you find comfort with already. You guys as a group, wondering, if they could ever come to this.
Honestly, concessionary. Hands down.
Well, that's already one of the 2.
It is.
And it said you're looking for the win. Okay, you're just looking for that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm serious when I say this isn't me running it. It's all of us having this stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Thoughts? Ideas? Okay. All right. So next steps. If you're friends or if you have nothing going on between 1 and 3, you can come back here and hear this again tomorrow.
Oh God, are you serious? You're a glutton for punishment. No, I was fresh.
Well, it's important to me to connect with people. So that's, or if you have an idea tonight and you want to come back, burn some sage, you can come back tomorrow. Okay? We will have these available, these notes and everything. I'm going to capture it.
Don't forget.
I think it's like how much time do I have before my voice actually goes, and it's short. So, with that being said, 1, I hope that this was beneficial for people. 2, it's not over yet. We will get through this. The best way to do this is for you to stay engaged. Hal likes to call me, hey, when are we having this? Continue to do that. Hal has my phone, my cell number. I don't mind sharing my cell number with people. And
Write it on the board.
And you texting me, this is the best way, because typically you'll get a voicemail. It's because I'm on the line with Hal. But I will return your phone call if you say, hey, this is such and such. Please give me a call. I want to talk to you about this.
You weren't kidding.
760.
Oh no.
371. It's on my email signature, so I share it with everybody. 288. Don't call me tonight. I won't be able to talk.
I think this is a more productive meeting than the last one because I filmed the last one too, okay? And the last one, if you go through and you listen to it, it sounded like, coming from his angle, all they wanted was control, control, control. How to control. This, they're saying straight up, they're gonna meet us. They're gonna work with us. So I find this right here much more productive than the first one.
Thank you. Janet. Thank you, Janet. Appreciate that. Janet said, worst district ranger ever here. Let's get this guy out of here. Okay. All right. I know it's hot. Thank you for being here. Yes, we'll continue the conversations. We've got it marked down. Lots of videos, lots of pictures. It's memorialized is what we're going. And so stay in contact. And just end it with that.